And you know, during the break, I asked these gentlemen who are seated here, how many would have rushed for those free wives? I will not name names, but at least two members of my panel said that they would go for the free wives. Food for thought. Let me introduce them to you. To my immediate right, Kilifi MP Dan Kazungu with us, TNA National Chair. Next to him, Johnson Sakaja. In the middle, Professor Edward Kisiangani. And to my far right, Homa Bay MP Peter Kaluma. They're going to be speaking to us on Opinion Court. You do not want to miss our discussion after these messages. And that story is the focus of part one of our discussion on Opinion Court. Let me reintroduce my panel to you. I apologize because you are the Malindi MP, Dan Kazungu, and not Kilifi. Thank you so much for joining us. He's the one seated to the far right. Next to him, Johnston Sakaja Johnston, the TNA National Chair. Edward Kisiangani is our resident political analyst. You know him. And Homa Bay Town MP Peter Kaluma. I thank you all for coming. Dan, let me start with you. What do you think of the party's action today?
No, I think this has been a long time coming. We've been hearing that the party intends to discipline members they perceive to be rebels or moles or perpetuating an idea that the party does not believe in. And I'm all for party discipline, really, because you can't drive an agenda if you're not united, if there's no discipline in the party. But I think we need to be careful. There's one thing about party discipline, and there's another when it comes through as leaders being intimidated. They can't speak up their mind. So I think the party needs to be careful there.
Is that what you think is happening right now?
I think to some extent, I feel the party needs to be careful because I'm sensing that we are probably crossing that line. It's a thin line, like I said, between disciplining me as a party member, but it's another also letting me, say what I have to say, freedom to think for myself and for my people, without necessarily crossing the line, because I know, of course, the political parties act. I know I'm in ODM because I want to be here, because I believe in the party ideals. But when it's all these things coming in an intimidating way, then there's a problem.
What do you think specifically of Gideon Mungaru's case? You're a Coast Member of Parliament. He has been accused of championing the formation of another political party.
Here's what I think. We went to his homecoming in Dabaso, and he said there is a need for a rethinking of the Coast political formation. And he didn't say I'm going to form a party tomorrow. He said there's a need for that. But I think the issue here is this. Plans for the Coastal to form their own party has been there for many days, from Ronald Ngala's days when he had KADU. And now we had other parties as well that have been formed to try to push that agenda without much success. He was trying to say it's time for us to propagate our unity. I think that's what I understood more. But the issue here, what Coastal are saying, is that, and my brother, Honorable Kaluma, is here, and he's a top lawyer in this country. Honorable Mungaro was out of the country. I don't want to be the person to say whether he's right or wrong. But the laws of national justice, we say Mungaro should have come, form the disciplinary committee or whatever panel it is, and then subject the man through some process, and then decide whether he needs to be kicked out as chief whip or not.
Well, the process there's a process now underway, perhaps to have him leave the party entirely. Let me bring in your colleague Kaluma here, the Homa Bay MP. You're an ODM member. What do you think when you hear other ODM leaders showing discontent with how the party is handling this quote-unquote discipline matter?
Yeah, I think the law and nothing else. Kenya is a multi-party democracy, and political parties in this country have both the constitution talking about our being a multi-party democracy based on the national values and principles, and then we move from there, we have the Political Parties Act. Beyond the Political Parties Act, we have, institutional offices dealing with how we undergird, parties as institutions of governance. You have the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties and others. The Kenyans need to know that the political parties are today funded by the public. In fact, 0.03% of the national budget should go to political parties. You have the option of leading a people through a political party. You also have the option of going independent. The law requires you to stand with the ideals of the party. And these ideals will be in the party's constitution, they'll be in the party's manifesto. Of course, there are situations where you would have convergence of thought between parties. Like, you remember we spoke about 24-hour economy. Jubilee side also spoke about 24-hour economy. We spoke about free secondary education.
So there's some
Jubilee
space
said,
for bipartisanship?
yes, there is space for bipartisanship. But really, where the line is drawn, because parties get their support on an basis based on what they say in their manifesto and on the foundation upon which they campaign. You cannot sit and say you are in a party, but you are propagating the ideals of another, political party or formation.
In the Mungaro case, because he has talked about the coast region feeling that they want their own political party, are you saying that is counter to your party policy?
The Mungaro case is not about coast forming a political party. Let me clarify it to the nation. For a very long time, we'll be ruled by coalitions of parties, not a single party. So the coast having a political party, really nothing unique, so long as, of course, we can, agree in mind and we can be in a coalition. What I wanted to say about Mungaro, and this is for Kenyans to know, Dan Kasungu is my colleague in ODM. Honorable Sakaja is a respectable member of the House, a chair of a party, and really a critical leader. When last did Mungaro as a minority whip speak in the National Assembly? And if you can remember, what did he speak about? I mean, remember the National Assembly, sometimes we are so many, we limit even time for speaking to 1 minute. But are way past 20 minutes to speak every day. From the court side, we always say Duale is speaking so much. But our people are permanently not there. If you look at the bills we've been passing, and Sakaja would confirm, they are passed with hardly 60 people. And then we could have defeated so many of them. But you never get people whose duty it is to whip the members of the CORD coalition to parliament. So Mungaro was a case of poor performance. And it was a decision of CORD, not ODM, really.
Here's my take, and I respect his sentiments. But look at this. If you look at the ODM coalition, it has 4 members. You have the minority leader, who is Honorable Francis Jenze. We have his deputy, Jaco Yomidio. We have the whip, who's Honorable Mungaro, or former whip. And then we have Dr. Chris Wamala, deputy. This is a group of 4 leaders who should be championing the leadership in the National Assembly. If you look at the Jubilee coalition, who do you hear most? You hear Honorable Duale. Do you even know who the whip of the coalition is? I'll probably tell you right now.
Your issue is due process. I want to come to you, Sakaja, because you're, as he has well put, the chair of a national party. The sentiments that are being expressed now is one of intimidation and due process not being followed. We know that TNA has had its own issues. Right now you're facing an issue with the candidature of Moses Kuria, a section of Kiambu MP saying they're not going to support him, and we heard from the party that they were going to deal with it. What's the right way in dealing with it without fractioning your party?
You see, this country is guided by laws, and we must always acknowledge that the rule of law precedes the rule of man. A party position is not the position of an individual. It is not the opinion of Sakaja or the opinion of Kaluma or the leadership in ODM, but it's a party position considered, agreed upon, minuted. The Political Parties Act, section 14(5)(b) states clearly that indeed if a member of a party is seen to participate in 1, the formation of a party, of another party, 2, forms a party himself, 3, pursues the interests of another political party, they need to be dealt with. Now, in the case which you're mentioning, and I think it's only 1 member from Kiambu County who has been seen, and actually, from what I've seen, the reports reaching my office, is campaigning for another party. The law is very clear that that member is deemed, not even, is right outrightly, deemed to have left the party. Now, once you are deemed to have left a party and you're in parliament, then you lack any mandate to be even in the National Assembly or in the Senate. So there's that line that must be drawn. But the question is, how do you come up with party position? Party position, as I've said, is not my opinion. It must be, first of all, we sit down in a meeting, whether it is a parliamentary group or our governor's caucus or IMC's caucus. We discuss an issue and we say this is the position of TNA or this is the position of ODM. Once that position is clear, any member who goes against that position then is seen to have gone against the party position.
I suppose the obvious concern is that at these meetings there would be owners, if you like, of the parties use it to push their way through, contrary to what other sections of the party feel. So they will drive their agenda either way.
No, that rarely happens. When an issue is discussed.
But it rarely happens, but maybe sometimes does?
No, in TNA, I can speak for TNA. I know for sure. Everything we have put across as a position has been well considered, debated, and if one or two members dissent, they note their dissent. And if they dissent, we will not punish them from dissenting because they noted it. But I think you're mixing issues. The issue in court is very different. I think what Mungaro is going through is because he has associated himself, or he is perceived to be associated with a different political party.
And in fact, it goes as far as to say that Jubilee, in particular, is wooing these Coast members of parliament and other members of parliament from ODM for your own political mileage. Is that what you're doing?
We're not wooing anybody. Recently, I was in parliament and I saw two CORD MPs greeting. These days, how they greet each other. They say "kusambaratika nayo." What CORD is going through? What CORD is going through is the castle is actually collapsing. There is not one single thing that you'll say Mungaro has gone against. There was a meeting in State House where CORD MPs came from the coast. There were 26 of them. I happened to attend that meeting. And if you're accusing Mungaro of going against the interests of the party, then you're accusing him of getting 650 million shillings for Ronald Ngala, Utalii College for the coastal people, getting infrastructure projects for the coastal people. So it means then the interests of the party are against development. Because Dalmas Otieno, let me finish. Dalmas Otieno, who's also being punished, what crime has he committed? That the deputy president has gone to his constituency for a function, and he was also, because of his leadership has been used in part of the peace processes. So you're saying that CORD is against such processes, is CORD against development, and for a long time we've been saying in ODM the D is silent.
Professor, I'm coming
There's no
to
democracy.
I'm coming to
you have not seen me whipping any member in TNA.
I need to answer.
Let me give you the right to reply, then we'll listen to you, Prof.
Yes, I've posed a question here about when, Honorable Sakaja and all else Kenyans outside there remember Honorable Mungaro, who is not just an MP, but was also the whip of CORD when he was last in the House. In fact, I can tell you even what Honorable Sakaja said last and when he was in the House, and what he said. You cannot remember. It's about, pure performance. It's about pure performance. And let us not distract this thing and start saying it was an ODM decision. In fact, we had a PG, and the country knows it. The move to remove, Mungaro came from, in fact, Coast MPs who were in the PG. The one before that, Honorable, Daniel Kazungu, in fact, gave apologies on his behalf. And he said the gentleman is out of the country. But we are saying, as a coalition and as a party, we had ideals we sold to the people, including the people of Kilifi. And that is what binds us as CORD. We are asking whether the position we have as a whip is being held by a person who can, perform for the party or not. And let me disabuse our thought of this idea that we needed to. No, it is instilling discipline. And this one for Mungaro is not even about discipline. We have not reached the level, let me correct this, of saying we are punishing anybody. If letters have gone out, it is letters telling these particular members of the parties, leaders elected under the parties under the CORD coalition, to explain issues we want to hear from them. In fact, we've not even de-whipped Mungaro. We've only removed him from that seat so that we can give it to a more effective CORD member, full stop. And by the way, we don't need to hear him. It is a position for CORD to articulate its issues on the floor of the House.
Professor, what do you think of what you've heard?
And we are faced with the two tragic positions held by two distinguished men of our political establishment. On one hand, Honorable Kaluba is communicating a new development that Mungaro was removed because of incompetence, when public knowledge knows, is aware that the entire public is aware that they have cited his association with other political parties as the basis for his removal. So that changes the position, and that's why I'm calling it a tragedy. Then on the other hand, you have Sakaja, who is a member, actually a leader of a political party, now giving the impression that in order for the people Bandari College to get to a development, maybe a facelift, they have to visit the president. Now that also is tragic, and it might no, wait, because this is my position. I think you have cited a number of things they got from State House.
From the meeting?
That shouldn't be the case, because the way we have planned our development, we don't need the president to direct.
You've misunderstood my position.
No, they shouldn't have gotten those things from State House.
No. You misunderstand.
Okay, let me finish my position. But
okay.
After I've said that, my contribution is this: that look, political parties require discipline, and that is a fact. And the law that takes care of that is first of all the Constitution. Article 36 and 38 are clear that there is freedom of association. So the Constitution has no problem. But with regard to political parties, the Constitution is also clear that you should promote the activities and ideology of your own political party.
Yes.
That is okay. And other parties have domesticated that. ODM has domesticated that in say, Article 5.3 of your own constitution for ODM, and you 5.4 even calls for expelling of your members. That is very clear. So therefore,
have you read the TNA constitution?
I looked for it, and it is not.
It's at the registrar.
I didn't get it.
It's at the registrar. All parties.
So
even New Democrats.
Let me finish.
Even Safina.
I'm just finishing my point now. So what I'm saying is this: that one, you have a law. The law is an us. You are a lawyer. You know that. When you have a law which says, look, you have what? You cannot propagate the ideas of a different political party as it is in Article 14 of the Political Parties Act. You are punished. But what is critical here is not that. What is critical is how, when you look at the things like promoting the activities of a different political party, have party positions been defined to the public to know? If you meet the president, are you breaking any law? If it's not in your, in your party, so they are vague on the content of what constitutes. Promoting the activities and the interests of a different political party. So all these political parties have not specified, because some of them have met the president. The leader of CORD has met the president several times. So what is this specific thing that Mungaro did that you thought was promoting the interests of Jubilee?
Dan, I want to come to you, and I know you're.
But I must respond to what he said.
Hold on a second. I know you're eager to comment because we are running out of time, gentlemen. The question is to you, Dana, because you're a coast member of parliament. Are you guys going to lead a rebellion to leave the party, as has been intimated in a section of the press? What's the game plan? We've seen the meetings happening.
So first of all, I think it's very wrong to label a leader who has a divergent view from the other as a rebel,
as incompetent,
or as incompetent, or as a mole. I think it's unfortunate, or both. I think it's unfortunate because when you do that, and that's part of the growing unease.
Is there growing unease? Good. Let me pick up from that. So is there a bid from coast leaders to leave
Not
ODM?
from the leaders, not from the leaders,
people.
but from the people now. They're thinking, oh, some leaders are saying, look, if Mungaro, who essentially started this, this old movement, when it was a movement then agitating for the referendum, then in 2005, when he was part of that, all the way until he became a political party and he became an MP, all the things that he's done, I mean, all these years, and then suddenly he's on a trip to Germany, he comes, he's gone. I mean, what is it for?
Is that then your ultimatum, that at the end of this process, where the letters have been written out right now, for them to show reason why they should not be disciplined, should they in fact then be disciplined and kicked out of the party, will that be the straw that broke the camel's back?
Well, we're waiting. We're getting another twist to it from Honorable Kaluma, that in fact they've not been de-whipped. All they've been asked is to go and explain themselves. So we hope it's going to be that. But what we're hearing from the news is that they're facing a disciplinary committee, and if things go wrong, they'll be out of the party. So it's a different spin for me. So I don't know what it's going to be.
Question: if he's out, you're out.
Well, I'm MP for Malindi. He's MP for Kilifi North. So
no, I mean out of ODM. Or would you stick with it? Because there's been a coalition of Coast MPs who've been getting together and speaking on his behalf and saying we will not let our man be treated that way. So your man, if he's kicked out.
Let me say this, and we will cross the bridge when you raise it.
And just very quickly. You see, you know, when I talk about Kusambaretic and those things, it's not just to poke fun at ODM. It's, I mean, anyone can see the signs of the times. Yeah, court does not hold anymore. But the point is this: just look at the signs. Kaluma is talking about letters being sent to other members to show cause. Why wasn't Mungaro given an opportunity to be heard? He was not given any opportunity. Number two, this discussion is a discussion on political parties. I can speak authoritatively about TNA with authority as national chairman. Who can speak for ODM here? They have no officials. Look at the election they held, or miselection. There's no one to speak for them, because there is lack of democracy. And you cannot say, for example, that the IBC should be disbanded when even in your own party, you cannot hold an election. You cannot create offices. Right now, there is no one.
Kusambaratika, you may not be poking fun, but here's what...
No, it's a fact.
Here's what may not be funny for Jubilee. There's a section of Rift Valley MPs, right now, URP members, in fact, who are pushing for the deputy president to run in 2017 because they do not have goodwill from TNA, at least they don't think they do, that you would in fact honor your pre-election pact to support the deputy president after the president's term, should he perhaps be incumbent for 2 terms. So it's not all pretty for you
listen to yourself. You're saying there are sections of members of Jubilee who've expressed discontent, who have gone out there, they have said things that are not the party position, they have hit the government. Who amongst those have we disciplined? Who amongst those have we expelled? Who amongst those have we shown the door? We respect leaders who are elected and their right to speak. But if you go against what the law actually provides for, then the party comes in, and we will be coming in. But we're not trying to dictate. You know, maybe that deal I was talking about stands for dictation. You know, dictatorship. There are many we would have done it by now. There are many we would have punished. But no, we give them the right because they represent people. And I'm saying, the future of this country rests in political parties that respect democracy, that respect dissenting views, and that have space for consultation. Mungaro should have been given a chance to be heard. And we're still waiting. I really look forward to have meeting.
Unfortunately, I have to wrap up that first part of our conversation and quickly dive into the second one. I thank you for your views on that, which is, of course, the presser that we had from the president earlier on the question of land and security at the coast. Peter, I want to start with you because he did at some point initially say that the opposition were involved in the violence that we have seen, and then now we've seen this what is called criminal act in terms of the allocation of land there. Your thoughts?
When the president first spoke, when we had the Mpeketoni tragedy, I remember I was on a television station the following morning, and I was blatant with the country. I said he did not speak as my president. Today, I want to say in the face of all Kenyans that our president spoke to the issues. He spoke not as a leader of Jubilee, but as the president of everybody, including the leaders on the opposition side. You know, let us not gloss over the issues of peace, the issues of security. We must go to the root causes. And for once, I want to thank the president. He's going in that direction. And this is why we were requesting for dialogue. We had views nearly similar around those issues to give him.
So you agree that while James Orengo was the lands minister 2011-2012, that he did in fact, quote, preside, if you like, over this
Certainly not, certainly not. Remember, Anne, I'm a lawyer. The lands minister under the previous law was the most useless minister. The powers of a land were given to lands registrars across the country, and of course the commissioner of lands. In fact, they would do everything, including selling land regency, without the land minister being aware. He was a flower girl in the ministry. He didn't have power. In addition to of course, other issues. There is nothing much James would do. Luckily, we now have a constitution. We have a new land law. Let us reorganize issues around, land, justices in the country. And I want to thank the president for coming forthright on the issue.
Prof.
Well, just a few moments after the president has spoken, there were issues raised about whether or not he has a right to make that declaration. And when I listened to his statements, he looked like he had directed some organs of state to take that decision. I think my position, I think I should make that contribution. My position is this. Under Article 132 of the Constitution, the President has immense powers. He kept on citing the issue of the Constitution. And I think in that case of land misallocation or allocation in Lamu, the powers he has in Article 132 can enable him, in protection of the Constitution, to take the decision he took. But more critical is the fact that there are companies that have been named, and we need to know, and the public needs now to know, who the owners of these companies are. But the president's move should not end at Lamu. There are many things that are happening within Mpeketoni, but also in South Coast, which have not been dealt with. There is a land problem in the Rift Valley, which can still go that way. So we would like him to extend that to other places where there have been illegal allocations, including the urban centers.
Okay, Sakaja.
I think apart from Kaluma and Kisenga, I'm not surprised because that is the president, we know. He has dealt with the issues, hit, Kaluma is laughing, hit the nail on the head. I will not go into details because in Parliament I chaired the Joint Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity, where I had actually summoned the governor of Lamu, his deputy, and the members, and they came 2 weeks ago. We listened to some of these issues. We released, a preliminary report on some of them, and I think all I can say is that it's moving in the right direction. There were issues. Some of the issues were to do with land, but I cannot say that that was a trigger. People in Lamu County have lived peacefully for many years, and even if there was that issue, it would not make them rise against each other. That I can say for a fact, even before I have submitted it. So there was some external influence, but that issue was both a trigger.
Influence.
That issue was both a trigger and an excuse.
I'm asking you because you chair the cohesion committee.
Opposition of what? You see, when
the opposition as in court.
No. When the statement was raised by the president, and he has not contradicted himself a bit, he spoke about local political networks. Now it's up to you to figure what that means. But and I have heard from the horse's mouth about what that means. But just to get back to what Kaluma said, I do agree. Honorable Senator James Orengo is a friend of mine. He was a Minister for Lands. He may not have had operational culpability. That is, we know what the framework and dispensation we had with respect to land was at that time. But I think when it comes to political culpability, for being able to see what is going on and raising the flag, he never did that, and that is something. But instead of pointing fingers, I can tell you authoritatively that indeed some of even those charged with security in that county were culpable. They own large tracts of land, and because of that, they were focusing on commercial interests more than security. And certain elements then took advantage of the lapse therein to cause insecurity and try to make it look like it's communities against communities, which it is not.
Okay, done. Finally,
Thanks,
briefly.
Anne. I had the privilege of going to State House this evening with a big delegation from Lamu County, all leadership, including the governor, MCAs, and a number of leaders from the coast went there. And what I saw, Anne, is shocking. Right now, let's not jump the gun. Let's wait for the investigation to go through. The IG was there, the anti-corruption are there. I won't start defending anybody right now. There are 22 companies owning, you will never believe it, 40,000, 100,000 acres.
Yes. Please, briefly.
So basically, let's wait for the investigation to come through. But what happened there is tragic. You can have 70% of the land in a county, taken up by 40 individuals. So let's wait for that first. The governor doesn't even have an acre to build anything. Where else can that happen?
But the point is, land was not the trigger, but it's an excuse.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, I will not allow you to get into that part of the conversation because I want you back on Opinion Court, and we're absolutely out of time. It's been my pleasure to host you all. Thank you for speaking to us. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more after these messages. That's our time on the show, but we can't say goodnight before we read your most valuable feedback. This is what you've been saying to us on social media. Mungaro has a golden chance to be a political star in the coast. He must use this ODM dictatorship to propel himself, none other than Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, who's obviously in the Jubilee coalition. Any politician that is elected through a political party, he or she must respect the parties or face the sack. #OpinionCourt. final one here. The law is clear on political parties. That's how we can end political impunity. I thank you so much for your views. I know there's certainly much more than what we had time to read, but we do in fact appreciate them. It's time for me to say goodnight. I promise to read through your views right after this. Thanks for watching Citizen Live at 9 in Opinion Court. I'm Anki Guta. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week right here. Bye-bye.